At Drummond. I am technically nowhere but everywhere when it comes to this program. My office is at Johns Creek High School, but I have been there twice all year, so I'm never there. I'm out in the community, I'm going on interviews with interns, I'm observing interns, and then I do a lot of work at Caribou. It's my favorite place. I'm part-time. I don't work the whole week. You'll kind of see that as you become interns and we go on interviews together. I have two one-year-old twins that occupy a lot of my time. They're super adorable though. And if I'm ever gone or anything, it's usually because they're sick or something's going on with them. I have been working for Fulton County for 10 years. The last 7 I spent at Alpharetta High School, where I taught AP Psychology and I ran the internship program. And then I did a lot of the outside work with Mrs. Brown as well. So I've been working with Barbara Brown, who I don't know if any of you have heard of her. She's the other coordinator. I've been working with her for years, so I've been doing this for years. So pretty much my job is I am the external person for this program. When you come to me and say, I want an internship, I go out there in the community and I find that internship. Let's have some ideas, and I can kind of tell you some of the internships that we've had in the past. Who has a career field? Who knows their career field already? Teaching. Elementary ed? Okay, so elementary ed is definitely a popular internship. We usually put you at the school you went to. If you went to Summit Hill or if you went to Crabapple Crossing, or we'll put you at the closest school, that type of thing. Now, elementary internships, I will tell you, are always first period. And it's because elementary schools get out early, so you can't have an afternoon internship. Elementary ed, and there's one other category, have to be morning internships, are surgery. Surgeries happen in the morning, okay? But yeah, you just, it would be great if you came with the name of a teacher that you really liked and you like to work with, but it's okay if you don't have someone in mind. If you don't have someone, I go to the principal and they try to find someone who's cool. The only tricky part is making sure that your teacher is teaching first period as opposed to having specials. But yeah, elementary ed, definitely doable and a lot of fun. The kids will fall in love with you. You won't want to leave. There's been tears, you know, when interns leave, so you'll love it. What else?
Civil engineering.
Civil engineering, absolutely. We have a couple of options for engineering. We can, well, 3 actually. We can either put you in the city government or we can put you in a private firm. We have been working a lot with a civil engineering firm that specializes in dams. Or another option, which requires a larger commute, but is to go to tech. I can line you up with a tech professor who then lines you up with a grad student, and then you end up becoming a research assistant for that grad student. It is really good for those interns who have aspirations of actually going to tech, because you pretty much become a tech student before you're even accepted. And if you do an exceptional job, having a professor go to bat for you pretty much can guarantee your acceptance. So those are the 3 civil engineering options. A lot of it rides on how far are you willing to drive and what you want to see, kind of thing. Yeah?
Investment banking?
Ooh, that's not my favorite category. Let me just say this, and I am overgeneralizing, but people who are investment banking, time is money. And I'm asking them to give their time for no money. And so I get a lot of no's from investment bankers. So it's really good if you know someone, or if your parents know someone, or maybe the person who is managing your parents' 401k or your parents' portfolio. So it's really good to know someone. But I will say I have one guy who does 401ks and personal investments who is exceptional, and he loves taking interns. The place where it's trickier for me is stock market, that type of brokerage, like a brokerage firm. That's trickier, but I do have one location in Dunwoody. So, what else? I like this. The fun part about my job is like you guys give me a challenge and then I try to fulfill the challenge. We'll go here and then here. Yeah. Go ahead.
Journalism?
Journalism. We have lots of different journalism spots. You need to ask yourself, what role do I want to play? Do I want to write? Do I want to help with ads? Do I want to help with layout? I'm going to strongly encourage you to gain some type of experience in the school before you want a journalism placement. They want to hear that you're working for the yearbook, or that you're working for the student newspaper, or that you've worked for Lit Mag. They want to know that you know computer programs that are prevalent in that field. So really start brushing up on that kind of stuff. But we have local newspaper. We have a couple of bigger ones, but they're farther drives. But we definitely have journalism. Yeah.
Music industry?
Like, could you be more specific?
Like various jobs in engineering the sounds that you want to produce when you're recording with someone.
Recording. Okay. I had a really good. We have a good spot, Atlanta Sound and Lighting, but it is a far haul. But the thing is, you'll be doing a lot of events and after-hour type things. So you could get your hours, but it's not going to be like, you work a set schedule. It's a little trickier. But that's a good one. I'll admit my local one that I had shut down, so that'd be a tricky one. But it's doable. I love the challenge, but do know that when you come to me with your ideas, you also have to come with a second and third choice. I always try to get the first, but if I have to, I might have to go to your second. Yeah.
Any pharmaceutical research or just research?
Sure, like medical research. I have a medical research lab. It's really neat. Like drug companies come to them, and then they conduct the trials, the things that have to happen before it gets cleared. Through the FDA, is that right? Yeah. So that's a neat one. It's a little bit of a drive. It's kind of near, it's more towards Duluth, so it's not too bad. And then, of course, Georgia Tech. You could get into any type of research.
I worked with some of the professors in Emory.
Good.
And so they were saying some things too, so I was just wondering if there are any other opportunities that I can.
Hey, if you have a place, nothing makes me happier than if you come to me with an idea, a direction. But you do need to keep it real. And what I mean by that is, can you make the drive? Like going down to Emory, especially Milton High School, because you guys aren't anywhere near the interstate. Emory's a haul. I tried to put a kid at the Carlos Museum. Do you know what the Michael Carlos Museum? It's like ancient history. Anyways, and it was too much of a burden. So I have had kids go to Emory, but it would be better if it was closer. But absolutely use those contacts you have, because the thing, if I've learned anything with this job, is that people in a field, let's just say medicine, they know everybody in that field. Even if it's a doctor in Duluth, they know the doctor in Marietta, who knows the doctor in Dunwoody. They're all networked and connected in. So even if you can't drive to Emory, I bet those people at Emory know people up this direction. Yes?
I have a question. What if 1 year, you intern for, teaching, and then you decide that's not what you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Next year, can you do a different? You automatically have the same spot, but then just find a different field?
I love that you asked that question. Each internship, we encourage you to do something totally different. When you go to college and you pick a major, you're never going to be able to do internships outside of that major. You're stuck. You're on a track. This is your opportunity. Really, anything you want. Our general rules are, though, it's my mom. I'll call her later. What was I going to say? It needs to be a career that is college-oriented. You need to have a college degree, that type of thing. But yeah, absolutely try something different. The one thing that's going to be tricky with a situation like you, and all of you should think of it too, is your schedule. Because if you do an elementary ed, that means we need you first period, but then if you want to do something totally different the next semester, we're going to somehow have to swap you to last period. So when we're getting your schedule right, we're going to need to make sure that sixth period is a semester-long class too, so that we can get that swap happening. With most of you, it'll just be last period and then last period the semester after that. You could do a total of 4. If you finished linked when you were a freshman or a sophomore, and then junior year you could do 2, and senior year you could do 2. I have had very few interns get to that magic number 4. I think I've had maybe a handful total my entire career with this, but it's really neat because you can do 4 totally different things. Yeah.
I want to do teaching and like education too, but I don't want to do younger kids. So
Yeah.
if, like I was going to do like middle school or high school even, would you do it at the end of the day?
Yes. Good question. I have never put someone in a high school.
Yeah.
It's just there's not enough of an age gap. I mean, would you guys take, no, if a high schooler, no, you wouldn't take them seriously. You probably barely take the freshmen and sophomores in college seriously because there's just not enough of an age gap. In middle school, there is an appropriate age gap. So we'd put you in a middle school. You would have to pick a content area at that point, like language arts, social studies, and it would be at the end of the day. Did you have a question? No. Yeah.
What about like art and drawing?
Well, like, what would you want to do with art and drawing?
Like illustration?
Graphic design we could do. Yeah. You could do ads, create ads. You could work for print design. You could, if you want more the animation side, that's a little bit harder. Let me go ahead and tell you though, Cartoon Network, all that, no. They will not take high school interns. In fact, generally, the bigger the company, the less likely we can get an intern in there because they'll have these sweeping rules about nobody under 18 or they have to be affiliated with a college because of insurance purposes. So let me just go ahead and tell you there's no Cartoon Network in your future. But it'll be like some small local place. Like we have a newspaper where you could work for their ad design. And it's really kind of neat because a lot of bigger companies have their ads and logos already made. But with the local companies, they might just say, here's what we want it to kind of look like, and you get to create their ad. It's kind of neat. So we have that, yeah. Yeah.
I was wondering about like speech pathology.
Sure.
In elementary school maybe.
We could do elementary school, or we could line you up with CHOA. When I say CHOA, it's Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. We have relationships with satellite offices. We can't put you at the main campus, 18 and older rule, but we can put you at the satellite offices. So it really depends. Do you want to see like more of it in a school setting, or do you want to see it in a medical office? I mean, it would be very easy to do it with the school system, and a lot of those services take places in the school now. So, oh yeah. We would probably either do elementary ed, or if your schedule was tricky, we could put you in a middle school if we needed to put, your internship last. Yeah.
Computer sciences?
What would you want to do? See, let me just say, if you throw like a major out to me, I want to know, well, what's the job you want to do with that major? Okay?
Does it do like software engineering or programming?
Yeah, we have a game, they do programming, they create online games, and you have to do a lot of playing and error, like finding the errors in the code and stuff. It's kind of fun because you get to play games all the time. Tech, definitely. We could have you work with a tech professor or a tech research person. That's about all I got. I mean, we can search for more, and if you know anybody, let me know. But we do have the gaming place. Yeah. Here's the one career field that I absolutely hate it when kids tell me. International business. What does that mean? Like to me, I'm like, well, pretty much what it means is you want to be in business and you want to travel, but yet you don't really know what you want to do. You need to figure out what role are you going to play within a company. And then you'll try to get with a company that is more internationally focused, which most companies are going that route anyways. But don't just come to me with international business. I need to know, do you want to do facilities? Do you want to do IT? Do you want to do sales? That type of thing. Okay? Yeah.
My second choice was like business administration, like marketing.
Okay. Well, business administration is very different than marketing.
Like a marketing executive.
Okay. I mean, we could definitely get you in a marketing department, and hopefully have you work with the manager. But if you really wanted more the administrative side, we would get you working with somebody who's like a general manager of a company type thing. Does that sound more like what you're looking for? I guess the thing is the more detailed picture you can paint for me, the better. But just know that you're going to have to be willing to be flexible. It makes me so happy to find you guys internships that fulfill your needs and you're excited and you're learning a lot. But just know that I'm working with a very different world out there. Like, they have every right to say no, or they have every right to say, no, we don't want to work with an intern, or this doesn't work for us, or we didn't like our last intern, so we're not going to take an intern this semester. And so just know that I'm working with parameters I can't control out there. What specifically would you like me to cover before we start running out of time?
This is all good.
No, this is good. Just keep going? Okay.
And maybe specific things that you're looking for in their references. Like, I know Mrs. Keene sent me an email, I think, yesterday or the day before. Maybe what you're looking for in their resumes, interview
there's no pen.
skills.
Okay, good. All right, we'll do a couple of more career areas, and then we'll talk about resume and interview skills. Okay.
My second choice was veterinarian.
Oh, yeah, easy. I mean, I have so many sites that I almost need you to think even further. Do you want to work with small animals, large animals? Large animals. You're luckily in a very good area for that. And then also I have the Chattahoochee Nature Center, who always takes my interns. So if you want to do any wildlife rehabilitation, that's really neat too. So like, maybe think I want to do maybe a vet clinic one semester and Chattahoochee Nature Center the next semester kind of thing. Yeah.
Newspapers?
Well, like, what would you like to do for a newspaper?
I'm not really sure, but something with that. I mean, I wouldn't care where.
I need you to care.
Okay.
So, like, here's the challenge for you now. And even if you have multiple areas, like you would be happy doing a couple of different things, I need you to give me ideas so that I know, well, maybe one semester she wants to do more of the layout, and one semester she wants to do more of the editorial writing.
Yeah, I'm thinking like editor.
Okay, so come to me with those ideas, and it's okay if you have a couple of different ideas within one field, and we can even try to work with the site so that you get a little bit of both.
Okay.
But as long as it has to be more focused than just newspaper, because we wouldn't know what to do with you.
Okay.
Okay.
Like my second choice was like anthropology, and it'd be like the study of like different.
I know what anthropology is. Sorry. I mean, we have to think, what is Alpharetta and Roswell? What are the industries here? We are heavy medical. We're heavy like engineering, that type of thing. We're heavy big like corporate offices, but those are tricky for finding internships. So you really got to think of, okay, how far can I drive, and then what's within. But just know that when kids come to me with a challenge, I Google it and put the zip code and see what comes up. But just know that if you pick an academic field, there's always the universities. And we've got tech, which obviously is more engineering, mathematics, science. But there's Georgia State as well. But you're looking at longer commutes too. Yeah.
ER nursing.
ER nursing. Okay, good. I'm glad you brought that up. So here are some of the medical sites we have, because I've found that roughly a third to a half of my interns are all medical. Raise your hand if you're medical. Yeah. Okay. Just know that you're competing with not only the people in this room, but now multiply that with Roswell High School, Centennial High School, Alpharetta, Northview, Chattahoochee, blah, 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 blah. And then we're competing with South County, and then we're competing with Gwinnett, and then we're competing, so just know that it's a highly competitive field. We do have programs with the hospitals. And really that would be the only way you could get like an ER exposure. We have a Northside program, which is actually really cool. We only get to send 4 kids each semester. So this is 4 from all the North Fulton schools, so it's really competitive. Our best students, pretty much. You go every Tuesday and Thursday. It's set, from the beginning. One day you spend in a department of your choice, so you would spend it in the ER. And then the other day you go on rotations, where you get to see every single area of the hospital. And you have a guest speaker who's an expert in that field, and you get to see like radiology, pharmacy, women's center, on and on and on and on. So that is a super cool program. We have the CHOA independent satellite offices, not really ER. ER makes it tricky. You might have to like nursing. Yeah. Nursing, yeah. We used to have the best site, and we lost the person who ran it. She retired. It's very sad. She took interns for like 30 years. But we could put you at a smaller office. You would kind of have to pick what kind of medical office would I like to be in. Would it be a pediatric office, or would it be like an internal medicine office, or ophthalmology? I mean, like, the list goes on and on. So you would kind of need to decide which discipline you'd like to see as well. So we have a lot of independent doctors who take interns. We have some at North Fulton Regional. North Fulton Regional is kind of different than Northside. North Fulton Regional is a bunch of independent doctors within a building. And then North Fulton Regional provides services to those doctors like an OR, that type of thing that they can use. But it's not like a Northside or a CHOA or a Scottish Rite. Those are a little different. Those people work for Northside, CHOA, Scottish Rite, whereas North Fulton Regional, they're independent. So we have an anesthesiologist there. We have a neurosurgeon there. We have Resurgence Orthopedics, which is technically across the street, but uses North Fulton Regional's OR. So a lot of orthopedic surgery, that type of thing. And the list goes on and on. Dermatology, pediatrics, dentistry. I often encourage you to go to your own dentist if you like them. If not, I can try to find you one. But just know that medical doctors, they are overrun with intern requests. Not only college interns, but high school interns, and we're competing. And obviously college interns should get first priority. They need these internships to graduate. You don't. If you know someone who knows someone, that's the best way to get into a medical office. So if you come to me and you want to do something in medicine, it would be great if you came with the name of someone you knew or a medical office that you went to. So they're more likely to say yes if they already know you. Okay, good.
Do you have any ties to the Georgia Aquarium?
In that they will absolutely not take our interns, and I've asked like 10 times. Yeah, that's my tie with Georgia Aquarium. And I even went straight to the top. I met the, what was his position? He was COO, Chief Operating Officer. He plays golf with my husband. And as soon as I'm one of those people, I'm almost a little obnoxious, because when I hear a title like that, I'm like, ooh, will you take my interns? And I even ended up emailing him, and he asked his HR, and I know as soon as something goes to HR, I'm in trouble, because they're probably going to find a rule where this is a little too tricky. And so, yeah, sorry. They have their own volunteer program. They're very strict about it, and they won't do any other independent programs. So I would say if you're really serious about it, research it this summer, or research it so you can do it over the summer.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. What else? These are great. Okay, one more, and then we'll do resume, interview, stuff like that. Yeah, I have a lot of law. You'll have to think about what type of law you would like to see. Yeah, and just know that with law, what you see on TV, and this goes for medicine and pretty much anything, what you see on TV is not what you're going to experience. 1% of law is court cases and, excitement, and 99% of it is data collection and writing legal documents and filing, and copying. So just be prepared. Have a realistic assessment of what you're going to get into. Yeah, but I do have law, for sure. Just think what field. Okay, so let's talk about interview skills. This is going to sound superficial, but I can't stress enough, your dress is so important, especially as high schoolers, because you are coming and their number one concern is this person is not mature enough. This person won't be able to handle the content of what goes on here because you're entering the adult world. They're going to embarrass us. They're worried about that. The very first thing you can do is dress professionally, okay? Now, it's not only about what you wear, it's also the fit, okay? I think a lot of times guys wear stuff too baggy and girls wear stuff too tight, and you just don't do that. If you're not sure if something fits well, ask your parents or ask me or ask somebody. Typically, the seam of the shoulder of the shirt will tell you a lot. Like yours is perfect. I'm sorry to point you out. It should be right on your shoulder. If it's below or above, the shirt doesn't fit you, okay? And that goes for girls and guys. You shouldn't have buttons pushing apart, and this is more for the girls. It needs to fit well. I recommend a button-up shirt and a cardigan or a tie for guys, and a nice pair of dress slacks. Pretty much what I'm wearing is this is me. Like, any place I go, this is going to be acceptable. I could walk into a hospital, I could walk into a vet clinic, I could walk in anywhere and be okay. The one exception is the Chattahoochee Nature Center. You'll be a little bit more casual, and you can't wear red because the birds of prey are threatened or think it's prey or blood or whatever. That's an interesting one. So dress nice. If you don't own dress clothes, get some. Make sure your shoes are nice. And don't wear tube socks. You don't wear white socks with black pants. And you don't wear little athletic socks. I can't tell you how many times a guy sat down at his interview and all of a sudden I see this like bare ankle and I'm like, oh, go buy trouser socks. Yeah.
Does that count for the interview that we have with you also?
Yes. Pretty much when you interview for me, I want to know that what you're wearing, you could walk into an interview with a site supervisor. I want to see you own those clothes and you know how to put them together. No crazy weird jewelry, no fragrances, like other than deodorant and like soap. Like, I've had too many kids who have like, oh, I'm going to dash on cologne for the first time. And it's like, whoa, like, no. No cologne, no perfume, no weird fragrances. And that goes for the future, too. Make sure you're, of course, well-groomed. Guys shave, that type of thing. Now, I will say you do have a little bit more artistic license if you're going into more an artistic field. You can make a statement with your clothes kind of thing, but yet still be professional within an interview kind of environment. So clothes, number one. Number two, yes?
What do you recommend for hemlines?
Oh, I recommend no skirts.
All right.
I mean, you don't know if you're going to be sitting across from the person. Oh, am I out of the view? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm restless. I'm all over the place. You don't know if you're going to be sitting across from them. You don't know if you're going to be walking down a glass set of stairs. Like, you know, there was some news article that came out recently about glass stairs, and I thought it was interesting. I would just recommend a good pair of trousers. But if you do want to go the skirt route, which is totally acceptable, I would say knee or lower. If you're a shorter girl, right above the knee. If you're a taller girl, at the knee or right below is the appropriate. But honestly, I just wouldn't recommend it. The only time where I think it's okay is if you wear opaque tights, so you know you can't see anything. Boots, they're cool and like trendy and typically they're okay, but I wouldn't recommend them for an interview. Yeah.
What kind of shoes do you recommend?
Flats, it's a nice pair of flats. This should not be the first time you experiment with heels, like wobbling around. Guys, obviously. Some nice dress shoes. I recommend tie-ups as opposed to slip-ons because slip-ons make you look a little maybe lazy. I would recommend wearing a watch. If you don't own a watch, it's okay. A lot of people don't own watches anymore, but that makes you look organized. Remember these little subtle things, they send messages. Yeah.
What if they didn't watch like full screen?
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Anything else about dress?
Like toes showing.
Don't recommend it. And if you're going medical, oh, I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
What if it's summer?
I wouldn't recommend it for your interview.
Okay.
Not for your interview.
Okay.
But, I mean, I would just, honestly, I think the best policy is just to go very basic and simple, like you can go no wrong kind of outfit for your interview, and then get a feel for what the office atmosphere is like. If you see other girls walking around with open-toe shoes at that point, then you're like, okay, I can go open-toe shoes. So I would just go real basic for the interview and then get the vibe from there.
Now, like your teaching career, and like I know that the teachers obviously have more of a variety of like what they can wear and stuff.
Right.
Do I need to still wear something like extremely professional, like there, and then bring a set of change of clothes in like my car, you know, like type thing?
Good question. Yeah. Especially for your interview, but depending on your elementary school, there are some elementary schools that are way more casual than others. It really depends on the administration and the rules that they've put down. But for your interview, I would once again do the basic And then we can ask those questions in the interview of what's appropriate attire. And then, like, you might want to buy one of their, like, spirit wear t-shirts because they oftentimes have Jean Fridays. And pretty much you need to go with the flow of the office, but yet still always dress at an adult level. You never revert back to kid clothes, high school clothes. It's just different. You need to be adult casual if that's, you know, what they do, if they're casual. Yeah. Do you have a question? You look like you did. No? Okay. All right. Anything else about dress? I will say, guys with shaggy hair, you might want to consider getting a haircut. Sorry. It's a thought. Throwing it out there, no requirement, just a thought. It youthens you, is all I'll say. Okay. Interview skills. The first thing you should do is be on time. When I say be on time, 5 to 10 minutes early is best. I'm usually always early to my interviews. You'll usually meet up with me before you go in. If not, I'll meet you in some kind of lobby, that type of thing. I'll make sure you have my number before you get there in case there's an emergency, and I'll make sure I have yours because I might get stuck in traffic or who knows. You need to do what we call a dry run before your interview. That means go by the location, figure out where you're going to park, get your game set. But also know that if you do your dry run on a Saturday afternoon and it takes you 20 minutes, and then your interview is set up for 9 o'clock on Monday morning, triple that 20 minutes. You know, like, even if you show up 20 minutes early, sit and read a book or something. You know, like, we're going to give you plenty of time to get there and to be on time. So be on time, walk into the business 5 to 10 minutes early. 5 minutes early is perfect. Meet up with me. You should have your documents with you, your resume, cover letter, reference list, and depending on the school, maybe your business plan. Have you guys talked about that at all? Business plan is 3 to 5 major goals that you have for your internship. And sometimes during an interview, we have time to go over them. Sometimes we don't. Usually medical, it's like so quick, we're like in and out the door. His doctors are so busy. But if we have time, we might go over your business plan. You can discuss that more with your teacher next semester or whenever you intern. Yeah.
What's the cover letter?
Oh, cover letter is like your introduction letter that you write to whomever you're seeking a position from. So when you interview with me, your cover letter is going to be addressed to me. And the 3 major things in a cover letter, it's like 3 little paragraphs, and just know it should not be long. You're not trying to write me a story or an essay. I should be able to review it very quickly. You state your objective. I want to gain an internship in the field of blank. The middle paragraph is, let me tell you something interesting about me that hopefully will get you to turn to my resume. Okay? Think of the cover letter when you go to a party and there's a bunch of people you don't know. When you first walk up and talk to someone, you're not going to tell them your whole life story. You're going to tell them just enough to get them interested. It's almost like a Facebook posting. It's the best things about you that you want people to know. So it's like, here's why I'm interested, look at me. If you were going into journalism, let's say, it would be like, my work with the school newspaper, blah, 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 blah. Or if you're interested in veterinary science, I volunteered with Humane Society, blah, 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 and here's what I learned. Just get them enough to get interested. The closing statement is pretty much, I appreciate the time and effort you're taking to look at my documents or to interview me. I look forward to working with you. Or when you're applying for a job someday, it's, I hope you will consider me. Please, contact me if you have questions, that type of thing. And then you close with like your contact information. And there's a very formal setup, like you do the person you're writing it to, or date person you're writing it to, all their contact information, body, and then your contact information. You can find that format online very easily, but keep it brief. Resume. Okay. I don't want to say too much because I don't want them to all be cookie cutter, but there are a few basic rules. Of course, you need to have your name and your contact information stick out, okay? your name should be a little bit bigger or bolder, or you can find some cool formats online, templates, you can use those. Nothing too weird though. You don't have to use wacky paper. You could use cardstock. That's kind of old school, but you could still do it if you want to. It's just like slightly thicker paper, but you don't have to. You need to have your objective. That should be right under your name, to gain an internship in the field of blank. Okay, keep it very short, very simple, very concise. Then you need to have, because you're full-time students, your education should probably come next. Milton High School, blah, blah, blah. If your GPA is good, list your GPA. If your GPA is questionable, do not list your GPA. But if you don't list your GPA, it's going to, question is, why isn't there GPA there? If you want to go into medicine, you better have a good GPA. That's all I'm going to say. You shouldn't have a 3.0 and want to be a doctor. You better wake up. I mean, you either better find your religion and it better be school, or you might want to think about a different field. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. I had a couple of kids who had a 2.7 and they wanted to be a doctor, and I was like, it's just not going to happen for you. Anyways. So then you should put honors classes you've taken, AP classes, any computer, business, any language classes, especially if you have a high fluency, especially Spanish. If you have Spanish fluency, there's internships who specifically request interns with Spanish fluency. Then you need to have clubs, extracurriculars. Make sure you somehow indicate any type of leadership positions you've had. Those are shining gold stars on your resume. People love to see that. What else? Then you can have work experience. Babysitting, if it's all you got, okay, we'll take it. Dog sitting, mowing lawns. But hopefully you have maybe something a little bit more. Even if it's working in the daycare at your church, or what else could it be? I mean, obviously any type of paid job or any type of maybe internships you've lined up for yourself, that's great. Now, once you start doing multiple internships, you add the internships you've had before to the document, okay? Really make those internships stand out as much as you can. Colleges are looking for them now. Then, I don't know, I've noticed some kids are putting skills on there. If you need to fill a page, go ahead and put your skills on there. If you're spilling over a page, take them off. Because you, at this point, want to fill a page, but you can't go over. With the resume format, you really don't deserve additional pages till you're at least about 10 or so years into your career field. And usually when you're that far along in your career, you probably transfer to a different format other than resume anyways. So keep it to a page, but fill a page. Because the kids who come to me with these half-page resumes, the immediate impression is you're completely inexperienced, or you don't know what things about you are good. Anything that shows that you have high levels of responsibility or can be responsible, those are the things that need to be on your resume. Yeah.
What about volunteer experience and mission trips, stuff like that?
Absolutely. Sorry if I forgot to mention that. Yeah, put volunteer experience, mission trips, mention the places you've gone, because that can, remember, because you want people to get talking to you. So any little tidbits like that can get them talking is great. But absolutely volunteer work, definitely. Questions about resumes? If you are having a hard time fitting it to a page, remember you can always decrease the margins a little bit if you're spilling over. Don't go below an 11 font. That's as low as you want to go. Don't go above a 12 font. You don't want to fill a page by increasing your font to 14. That's going to look comical. Okay? No weird fonts that are hard to read. You can take a little bit of license with the titles and your name maybe, but when it comes to the content, really just Arial or Times New Roman, something very simple and easy to read. And not too little, because remember the people you're going to be interviewing with have old eyes like myself, and I know that anything below 11 hurts my eyes and it's too much stuff on a paper. The other thing I will say too is if you're going to follow a format that you've created, stick to that format. If you start with, let's say, work experience, and you start with titles like, I don't know, cashier at Kroger, whatever. And then you do the time period after that, then do that for all of them. Don't switch it around and put time first, or then once you get to hobbies, you put activity, like put the name of the club, then your role. I mean, like, just whatever format you choose to follow it all the way down. Okay? Make sure it's easy to read and easy to chunk up, like separate into groups. References. References should be on a separate sheet of paper. I like it when you have the same header from your resume, because if they're separate sheets of paper and they get separated, your contact information will be on both. But also it's nice if they look the same because it's just cleaner. It's like a nice package. You should have 3 minimum, 5 maximum. I think you should have maybe 1 person from the school, because school is a job if you want to look at it that way. And so it's nice if someone can speak highly about you from the school. Now, if you want to go into, let's say, computer science, it would be great if it were a teacher in that field. Or if you want to go into writing, it would be great if it were a teacher in that field. But it doesn't have to be. It's also good, too, if it's like an advanced teacher or a tag teacher, that type of thing. Yeah.
Like, I've tried to get, like, one teacher, and the only thing I can get is, like, their email address, because I don't want students, like, having their address and, like, having their phone number.
Put the school address and school phone number. In the reference list, if you follow a format with one person, follow it with everybody. So if you should have their relationship, like, or their title, like, what were they to you? Don't just have names and, contact information. It should be AP French teacher. And then, or maybe it could be like someone you volunteered with, like the organization they belong to, that type of thing. Put them in order you would like them to be contacted in, because a lot of times people will only contact the first one. So put your best first. Chances are in this program, your references will not be called. I think that's maybe been like 3 or 4 times total that a site is called a reference, because they consider me and this school your reference. I'm kind of saying to them, this is a good kid, take them, okay? But for future. You definitely need to let your references know before you apply for a job that there's a chance they may be contacted. I had a friend who used me as a reference. I'm not even sure why. We were in totally different career fields, but she didn't tell me anybody was calling me. I hadn't talked to her in like 6 months because she lives out of state. All of a sudden I got this like random call and it like totally caught me off guard. You don't want somebody to be like, who? Yeah, oh wait, oh yeah. You want them to be ready to give a really good reference right away. So you want to talk to them beforehand, ask them permission, and then afterwards, write them a thank you letter. And that's the next thing, the importance of the thank you letter. You will write a thank you letter after your interview with your site, not necessarily with me, even though I had a kid do it once and I was like, check, smart kid, But you're going to say, thank you for taking the time to interview me. I'm really looking forward to working with you, yada, yada, yada. Handwrite, it's nice, You don't hand deliver it, that's awkward. You mail it. Now, in the future, after you interview with a company, you either need to follow up with an email or a handwritten thank you letter saying, I hope you consider me for the job, blah, blah, blah. I was watching the Biography channel and they had Rosie O'Donnell. I know. Well, I don't know why I was watching it either. I think I was doing dishes. But she applied, what was it? She applied for some job and she got rejected. But she wrote a thank you letter saying, thank you for taking the time to audition me. It was an experience in and of itself. Like 5 years later, when they had a new show idea, they called her because of that thank you letter. And I was like, whoa. I'm like, that just shows you how powerful the thank you letter is, okay? I think we're running out of time, but is there anything else big I should mention? Any last? The most important thing is you get a clear idea in your mind of what you want to intern in. Do that career research. Be realistic about it. Yeah.
Like, on average, how many references do you think we should have?
How many references? 3 to 5.
3 to 5?
Yeah. 3 is plenty, though. 3 is great.
How frequent do you have to do these internships? I mean, like, in a week, how many times do you usually?
If you're a single intern, which means you've dedicated one period in your schedule, it has to be in your schedule, 5 hours a week, 2 to 3 afternoons a week. If you're a double intern, which is 10 hours, it's probably more like 3 to 4 afternoons a week. Elementary ed is probably 4 mornings a week because it takes more days to get your hours. Yeah.
As far as like references go, can you list like coaches?
Who?
Coaches?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't have all 3 be coaches,
Right.
but like one coach in a mix with other people, yeah.
And then like a teacher and then like a family friend.
And then friends of family, I wouldn't recommend because of course they're going to say nice